I hereby summon all my imps. Hey everybody, it's Annabelle. There were 10 cards released since the last time I did a review. This time I'm going to do a couple more than 10 and you'll see why. But we're going to start on where I left off on, which is going to be the first card that got revealed, which is this disposed soul. And the disposed soul is a 4-mana rare neutral minion, which has, if you control a location, discover a copy of a card in your deck. So, this is a card that it's a 4/5 for 4 mana, so basically Yeti stats. Unless you have a location down on your field, it's not helping you out. If you're already going to run a location, you might throw this in your deck to discover a copy of a card in your deck, but if that location isn't out on your field, if you're taking up a board slot for it to discover one card, there's cards that would be 4/5s that just by themselves would discover a copy of a card in your deck. Maybe not in neutral, but at least in some other classes. So I really am trying to figure out if you would ever use this. So I'm going to give this a Yeti stats with a slight upside. Next up for us is going to be card 2. And this is going to be Pelgos. Pelgos is a 3-mana legendary priest minion card. It says after you cast a spell on a friendly minion, set its attack and health to the higher of the two. So what this does is if you give this +2, like just +2 defense, this turns this into an 8/8 at that point. So that is a very interesting card, because you could play this on turn 3 and basically not have it die. And even if it took a couple damage, you could get a 4/4 or a 5/5 just on turn 4. And if you got the chance, if this survives one turn and you got even a decently good spell, like this doesn't take damage for a turn, you can, get a 6/6 on this. I mean, that's scary. By just giving this 2 health, you have an 8/8 on turn 4 if this doesn't take damage at all. Because it does count itself. So, and it even flips the other way around. So if for whatever reason you give it +5 attack, it becomes a 5/5. So this is almost the Light Spawn Warden, but with a spell, so you can actually choose what's out here. There's going to be some defenses that come into this to make this card scary. So I would not be surprised if this card sees play. But on the other hand, turn 3, because on turn 3 it's really going to be hard to kill this 1/2 buffs, and this is doing some serious damage. I just don't know if Priest has the follow-up. So I'm going to give this some serious damage, but I don't know if Priest has the follow-up. Next up for us is card 3, which is Boone of the Ascended. Boone of the Ascended is a 4-mana epic priest spell that gives +2 health and summons a Chiron with stats equal with its stats and taunt. So if you have a 2/2 on the board, you'll give this +2 health, and then you'll summon a 2/4 also on here. Let's see if it gives what the Chiron looks like. It kind of looks like that. So it'd be Ascended Chiron. So it's going to get something +2 health, and then it's going to summon it with its same taunt. So you have to have a minion, but you can choose your opponent's minion. If you even have a 1/1 on the board, this comes out, gets it +2, then you get a 1/3 with taunt on the side of the field. For 4 mana, depends what you get. The thing is, this is almost like a snowball card to the 10th degree, because if you get something good on the board, this is going to be a quarter of that something good. if you have something like nothing good on the board, you're getting a 1-3 for 4, or maybe a 2-4 for 4. That's, not what you're looking for, and you need a minion on the board. And you can do your opponent's minion, but that's such a waste of this card. I'm gonna give this a decent, but only if you're already winning. Next up for us is going to be card 3, which is the Rogue legendary minion, the 4/4, the Necklord Draca. So this is Draca coming back in. She's a 4-mana 3/4 that equips a 1/3 dagger, plus 1 attack for each other card you've played this turn. So that is a very scary card, because that's basically about Edwin's stat line in the past. You can get if you get like a good 4, 5, 6 things off of that, that's 5 things. If you play it before this, you're dealing a 6 straight to face. That's you're basically equipping a swordfish a lot of times if you can get this to play right. It's basically playing swordfish. This is an extra swordfish in a lot of decks that are already playing swordfish, and then you're basically putting a 3/4 on the battlefield. So I am going to give this a Edwin Says Hi. Next up for us is going to be card 5, which is the Stonewright. Stonewright is a 4-mana legendary shaman minion card. It's the legendary for this set. And it says, battle cry, for the rest of your game, your totems have 2 attack. That means nothing. You could give your totem 6 attack. It doesn't mean anything. You can summon a totem. Unless there's some really unique totem that's coming out for this. That means nothing. That means the most you're getting is a 3/1 when you summon a totem. Spending 2 mana for a 3/1 does nothing. You can use the Amalgam to give it +2 attack. Right now, there's not a single totem out there that I would want this to have. This is such almost a waste of card. You could give your totems 6 attack, 7 attack. It wouldn't make a difference. So many of them, it's not the attack. They're not doing anything. You're gonna waste the buttons. You're gonna waste the card slot. You're gonna waste the button press to get a 2/2 on a lot of results. So I'm going to give this, unless some other totem card comes out, this ain't seeing play. Next up for us is the Centerfold Golem. The Centerfold Golem is a 7-mana epic and neutral minion card with infused 3, gains stats equal to the attack of minions that infuse this. This is such a weird card. It's a 7-mana 2/2. You've got to have 3 minions die before this if you want any chance to play this. If you don't have 3 minions die, you're not playing this, because you're not playing 7 mana to summon out a 2/2. If you had 3 minions die that are even 1/1s, you're getting +3/+3, which is 5/5. So you need 3 minions that are +2/+2 to even have this come out. That would make this a 8/8 if 3 2/2s died. On turn 7, it doesn't have taunt, it doesn't have charge, it doesn't have any other ability. Even if you had somehow before this a 20/20 die, a 20/20 die, and a 20/20 die, and this comes out as a 22/22 on turn 7, it doesn't do anything. It's turn 7, summon a 22/22 vanilla stat minion. And, it's a scary big thing that says kill me, kill me, kill me at that point, but it's not winning you the game. And on 7, you got stuff that's coming down on other classes that's basically almost. So I'm gonna give this a 7 mana 2/2. Next up we have the promotion. And promotion is a 1 mana epic paladin spell from the set that has give a Silverhand recruit +3/+3. Now, this card by itself isn't the worst thing in the world, but it's not the best thing either, because if you have a Silverhand recruit out, that's making one of your Silverhand recruits a 4/4 if it has no other buffs. If it's not on the board, you're spending 3 mana to basically get a 4/4. So it's kind of fair if you don't have a minion out on the board. It's less fair if you do have a minion out on the board that is a Silverhand recruit. Note that you can't use this on anything else other than a Silverhand recruit. So I wish it had something else on it. I wish it did something else to just a normal minion, like give a minion +1/+1. If it's a Silverhand recruit, give it +3/+3. Because it's not good, it's not bad, it just is. And that's what I'm going to give this. I'm going to give it just is. Next up for us, we're going to go a little bit out of order for a second here. And this is why I have to discuss a few more cards. The Demon Hunter Legendary came out, but in order to discuss the Demon Hunter Legendary card well, I have to discuss the artifacts first, the relics first. So we're going to talk about the relics first. The first relic is Relic of Extinction. It's a 2 mana summon common Demon Hunter card that has deal 1 damage to a random enemy minion twice and improve the future relics. So what the improve the future relics do is it makes it so that if every relic that you play, like this one will deal 2 if you played a relic before, then 3, then 4. So this by itself is deal 2 damage to a random enemy, and it does it twice. So it's gonna pick see, that's what I gotta know. I gotta know in order to help make this up better. If it deals 1 damage to a random enemy minion twice. So if you have 2 minions out on the board and it hits the first enemy minion for once, does it hit that same enemy minion the second time, or can it hit the second enemy minion once? So the way it's written, it says deal 1 damage to a random enemy minion twice. So it says 1 random enemy minion twice. So if I am reading this correctly, and note that I am bad at reading stuff, and this is how it's read to me. This is how I am reading it. It deals 1 damage twice. So even if you cast 15 relics, and this would do 16, it's doing it to 1 random enemy minion. And if that's the case, these are not super well to be used. If it's the other way around, where if you have 2 minions out on the board and they're 3/3s each, and you've cast 5 other relics before this, so this would do 6, then these are scary. But if I'm reading these correctly, even if you cast 1 relic before this, it's going to do 2 twice and then 3 twice. So you can take down 1 big creature with just a couple relics coming through. So I'm going to give this a need to know how it deals 1 enemy minion twice in order for it to be good. Next up for us, we're going to talk about the second relic on the board here. It's the Relic of the Phantasm, which is a 3 mana 1 that summons 2 1/1 spirits. And again, it depends. if you summon 2 1/1s for the relic, and the next time you summon 2 2/2/2s and 2 3/3s, the most you're ever getting on the board is 2 phantasms. And even for 3 mana, summoning 2 6/6 vanilla stat minions, I mean, that's a long way to go to spend 5 other relics to get there. To get 2 6/6s. I mean, I think a lot of people are giving this way more, oh my god, these are scary, when they're really not. I mean, summon 2 4/4s, let's even say, for 3, would be about average. And in order to summon 2 4/4s, you can just play 3 other relics behind this. Because summoning 2 1/1s for 3 is barely playable. Paladin can do that way earlier, and they summon a third 1/1 for the same mana cost and get a weapon attached. Next up, we're going to talk about the third relic, which is Relic of the Dimensions, which is the 5 mana relic. And it draws 2 cards and reduces their cost by 1. And if you draw more cards by playing more relic, this gets scary. If all you do is reduce the mana cost for each other relic, it's still scary. It's just not as scary because Demon Hunters already have ways to draw cards and to really reduce their mana costs. And the way that I'm reading this is it reduces the mana cost, doesn't draw you an extra card for each relic you play. So 5 mana, draw 2 cards is bad. Even to reduce their cost by 1 is bad. To reduce their cost by 3, there was a card that came out for Demon Hunter that I think might still be in play, might have just rotated, that would have done that on its own. No, that it still is in place because that's the tradable one, I believe, where it draws 3 and reduces their cost. So, again, I'm giving this I think relics are less hype than people want to give them credit for. That's going to bring us to the actual legendary of this, which is the Artificer, and it's 8 mana, and it discovers and casts a relic. And if you've had 5 minions die before this, you get all 3 relics. So you get to pick which relic you get, and you get to cast it. Now, I am going to go out on a weird limb here, and it all depends on how the relics are cast. If all of the relics are cast at the same time, if you've put no relics before this, you're dealing 2 damage to something, you're summoning 2 minions, and you're drawing 2 cards and reducing them by 1. And I don't know how it's going to figure out that location, because each one of these is improved. So if they're cast all at the same time, you're not doing a lot. But I don't know how the mechanic would figure out which one would be cast first, second, and third, unless it's going to do 2, 3, 5. If that happens, you're doing 2 damage, you're summoning 2 2/2s, and you're drawing 2 cards and reducing them by 3. If that's how it works, that is an interesting mechanic to get all of that for 8. So this is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10 quote-unquote mana worth of stats for 8 if 5 things have died. I just don't know if they all get cast as 1, that's not that good. If they all get cast in that order, that's better. And you're definitely going to have this infused. And with Demon Hunter, that's possible to have this infused. They do have a lot of stuff that dies early game. But you're going to have this in your hand and put it down on turn 8. If you've played some of the other relics, yeah, it's scary. But the most you're doing is killing one creature on your opponent's side of the board, summoning 2 vanilla stat minions, and drawing 2 cards that maybe you can cast that turn for 0. So it all depends on what you draw. So I'm going to give this a... Not sure I want to bog down my deck with all these relics just to make this work. And now I'm going to go back a little bit in time, and we're going to discuss the other card that came out, which is the Relic Vault. By the way, I was completely wrong on the Relic Vault. I put my predictions in here. I did say that one would summon spirits, but I did not have it based on playing additional relics. I just thought each relic by itself would be decently played. And the next relic you play casts twice. Again, it depends on how this is worded. With some of these, if they cast it at the same time, it's not that good. If it casts it one and then the other. So, if, for example, you deal 1 damage twice, and then it deals 2 damage twice, that is really good. If it deals 1 damage twice, and then 1 damage twice again, that's not so good. So again, you've got to throw in, to make this all work, the Relic Vault. All the relics. So that's 1, 2, 3. The Relic Vault by itself, which is 4. And then the Artificer, because you're playing Artificer for the big Boone. So that's 4, 8, 9 cards. That's almost a third of your deck based around this mechanic that you hope does something. And if you get, say, Relic of Domination off a Relic of Domination, do you care? Even if it costs 0, do you care? And that's the problem with a lot of these. Anyways, thank you so much for watching me here. I always do appreciate you people coming by. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, remember, play for fun.